Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrifice my time so you don't have to. No memes, none of that stuff. I'm gonna come correct, talk to you guys directly, and let's just lay it out on the table, man. And in particular, I'm not really necessarily talking to all wrestling fans. I'm talking to AEW fans in particular, man. Like, I gotta ask, do you honestly, do you really like the company right now? Like, if you do like the company, can you tell me, like, what is there to like? Like, I feel like you're gonna say the in-ring product, but like, okay, you've been getting the same in-ring product for like 5 years now. Is that really it? Is there anything else that you would like in your professional wrestling? Like, that can't be the end all be all for you, right? You can't. I'm being honest here, man. I'm not making any jokes, and you can't be that close-minded, right? Or maybe I'm the one. Maybe I'm the one lost in the sauce. Maybe I'm the one who's crazy, man. Maybe I'm the one who just doesn't get professional wrestling anymore. I'm willing to take the L on that if that happens to be the case. If it really is just all about the in-ring product and that's what everybody likes nowadays and this is what you're striding for, then I don't shit, there's really no criticisms then. That's what you expect. That's what you got. I can't get mad at you for liking the product when you're getting exactly what you want. But like, can I at least ask, if that's what you like and that's what you want, then why do you need AEW to produce it? Were you not getting this on the indies? Were you not comfortable with getting it on the indies? Because when you're on cable television, there has to be some type of, variety, right? Like you agree on that at least, right? Because it's on television, meaning it's a television show. Like, you will want more variety. If not you have to understand that being on television, most people want variety out of whatever programming they're typically getting that's not sports oriented. Because sports oriented, it's a different beast because there's legitimacy attached to it that actually takes skills. Not to say professional wrestling doesn't take skills, but it's skills that people are invested in. Professional wrestling is theater. And like I said, if all you care about in the end of the day is just the wrestling AEW fans, then I guess just click off the video because there's nothing that I can say that's really going to change your mind. Nor do I really want to change your mind because, I guess this conversation isn't really directed at you. Now we divert from the AEW fans and I start talking to actual real wrestling fans. Not in-ring fans, wrestling fans. Professional wrestling fans. People who want to see larger than life talents. People who want to see people talk on the microphone and have an exchange back and forth that gets you invested. People who want to see storylines play out throughout the night to get you invested into said character, to give you a reason to want to see the in-ring product. And even better, and a little bit more difficult, especially nowadays, getting you to pay to want to see the in-ring product based off of all the things that help you get involved and invested into said feud or rivalry or however you like to refer to it. Can I ask you guys a question? And I know what the answer is going to be, but Mercedes Mone, Kazuchika Okada, Will Ospreay, Ricochet, they've all arrived in AEW throughout this year. And I feel like these signings in particular are something to have a case study over, because in the past, we've been getting signings in AEW. Two of the biggest signings ever for that company is Bryan Danielson and CM Punk, obviously, as far as, coming into the company, not when it first started. And you can see the value in those talents, right? You can see what they bring to the table. The accolades, the name value, the fan base. And it's not to say that guys like Kazuchika or Will Ospreay or Ricochet or girls like Mercedes, they don't have their particular fan base. But, okay, let's just flat out ask it. I'll just flat out ask it. What have they actually given to the company this year? What have they provided in regards to excitement for the company this year? Because again, I feel like I'm out of the loop and I'm looking at all these different things. I look at Kazuchika Okada for an example, right? I was told that he was the John Cena or the Randy Orton of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I was expecting big things from Kazuchika Okada. What has he done? He just calls people bitches and rarely really even wrestles all that often, even though he's the Continental Champion. And people are like, oh, well, he's a special attraction. Okay, cut a promo? Can you do an angle? Can you do something on the show? You don't want to have him wrestle, that's fine. I'm all for not having people wrestle all the time, but you still need to do something that gets me invested into wanting to watch you wrestle. What has Kazuchika Okada done so far? Honest question, what has he done? Ricochet, we made a whole video on him a couple of days ago. God, he's such a case study also, because it's like, damn, he felt, at least Will Ospreay, Kazuchika, and Mercedes, they still have things going on at the very moment. Ricochet, he was dead on arrival. It's like he was literally only brought here just to prop up Will Ospreay. But what has he done? Obviously nothing. Mercedes Mone, arguably one of the most overrated wrestlers of all time. Bar none. For sure one of the most overrated women, period, point blank, and it's not even close. What has she done? Really, what has she done? What main rivalry has she sinked her teeth in? She's been here since what, February, March? We're almost in November. What has she sinked her teeth into to get you to want to plunk money and to want to watch her? They did a good job. Well, they didn't really do a good job, but they made the right choice to swap her from face to heel, because clearly what she was promoting as far as that character was just very, very unlikable. So you made the correct decision to turn her heel. But what have we gotten out of all of that? I feel like we're getting more out of Mercedes off camera than we're getting on camera. You know what I mean? Like, she's supposedly the biggest women's wrestler on the roster, and whether it's her decision or whether it was Tony's decision or whether they decided on this together, you haven't given her anything to work with as a mid-card champion, when in reality she should be the main champion, because no one gives a shit about Mariah May if it's not involving Tony Storm. That's just facts. I don't know what do you want me to tell you? What has she done? And then we get to Will Ospreay, and we made a video on him a couple of weeks ago also, talking about his downfall and his pitfalls. Now granted, out of all four of them, he has been given the most, easily, and even then, he has at least dabbled in a couple of things here and there. But even he, really, what has he legitimately done to get you invested to want to watch AEW more often? Like I said, he's more successful than the other three, bar none. But, we're just kind of at this point comparing throw up to shit. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess I'd rather get thrown up on rather than shitted on, but I don't want to get thrown up on either. At this point in time, with how you're booking the guy, you would think he would have been AEW World Champion at this point. That's clearly what you want to do. That's clearly the direction you want to go into. But like, nothing of substance comes out of a Will Ospreay. You know, the closest thing that you did was, which you completely fucked that story up for the most part. The closest thing that you did that was even remotely exciting with him was the stuff with MJF. And even then, you fumbled that. You had them wrestle a match on television that was arguably, if for certain, better than the pay-per-view match. And you did that for the sake of just starting the feud, giving the feud something of a crutch. You started a feud and gave it a crutch by having them wrestle. Who's getting invested into any of that but the fans who are already there? It's like, do we not matter outside of your sickos? I mean, clearly the answer is yes, we don't matter, but I'm pretty much speaking rhetorically here. But I mean, why did you spend so much money on these guys? I'm not too certain of Ricochet's contract, but for certain, Kazuchika, Sasha, and Will, why did you spend so much money on them to essentially do nothing with them outwardly based off of their skill set and name value? Like, I'm so confused by that. I don't understand that. Like, the product, it's bad. It's really, really bad. The stuff that you thought you were able to at least see and say to yourself that you want to get yourself invested into has fell through time after time after time again. And that's literally three-peat. It fell through, and all happening this year, no less. The United Kingdom stable and all the stuff that they were planning on doing was a complete fumble. That was atrocious. It was never going to work to begin with after Adam Cole had the ankle injury. It was so bad that you're trying to hit the reset on it, and it's still bad because of how bad that story is. Then you do this whole angle with the Elite and Tony Khan and all this other stuff, and you just basic things like making your world champion a part of that storyline, like Swerve Strickland. You couldn't even do that right. Instead, you used it as a motor vehicle to I can't even say that. I want to say you use it as a motor vehicle to get Jungle Boy over, but I mean, how much over is he now compared to when he first came back a couple of months ago I can't remember the name of the show, the April show. Like, and then you continue this trend with the BCC stuff after how you took out Bryan Danielson, and look how bad that story is going on right now. It's just bad. And you think to yourself that maybe you paying millions upon millions upon millions of dollars on newer talent would usurp all this bad stuff. Like, in fact, one may even argue the signing of these talents should have been put in place, in place of these bad stories. And it wasn't. And you didn't. And you're gonna have people who are just gonna turn a blind eye to it. And it's like, the proof is in the pudding. Like, your viewership numbers are horrible. You know, you're so desperate in this attempt to flip it that, like, you don't even attempt to defend the stories anymore. You don't attempt to defend AEW anymore. It's always a whataboutism and flipping it back on WWE. That's how bad it is. What if I were to tell you that I'm not a big fan of the WWE product right now? A bigger fan than AEW, but like I said earlier, it's being shitted on or being thrown up on. I'm not a big fan of the WWE product right now. There's certain things that I like. They do a better job compared to what AEW is doing to get me hyped up, but that doesn't mean overall I'm a big fan of the product at the moment. No, most of the stuff that I see, I can count on maybe one hand how many things done this year has legitimate replay value. Honestly, I probably can. It's Cody and Roman, it's Cody and maybe AJ Styles, and it's Punk and McIntyre. Nothing else really has that much replay value with me, honestly. But that's besides the point. That's actually beyond the point. You know your company is bad. You know these signings were so bad. And it's like it didn't even have to be that way. Because it's not as if the signings that you have are bad performers. Now, granted, I don't know what the fuck is going on with Mercedes. She's significantly worse compared to where she was back in WWE. I can't explain her. But Okada and Ospreay and Ricochet, these are very talented dudes from an in-ring perspective at the very least. They can give you a good match. The problem is the way you structure the match, right? The guys you put in place in order to build up the match. Like, Ricochet should have a manager. Ricochet should have something going for him where he doesn't have to talk on the microphone too often. And, you know, you can use the in-ring stuff to help him out, but you need other extremities in order to put him into a position where people actually care to want to see him outside of your fan base, who they don't care. It has the AEW logo and therefore it doesn't matter. And for guys like Kazuchika Okada, again, he doesn't even need a manager. You stuck him in the Elite. If you just would have done something better with the Elite, then this wouldn't be a problem. Or better yet, you could have done the story with Tony Khan. One of AEW's biggest problems is the fact that they never stay consistent with whatever angle that they're pushing. They'll tell you that it's a big angle. They'll tell you that it's a big deal. But then, like, after doing the angle the following week, it's just, you go back to the status quo and focusing on matches, and you never give these big angles any focal points. So the reason why people come to want to watch the show, they see that, oh, well, the thing that I want to watch is not on television, and you do it so not often that it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I guess they're not going to do anything big, and then they turn the channel. Look at the BCC. You have yet to see Jon Moxley with the World Championship. That's pitiful, man. You come out of that show with Bryan Danielson and you do nothing with it. You think beatdown angles and running around in the pickup truck and giving that one segment is supposed to do something. It's not doing anything. I kind of want you to have the camera consistently on the BCC and showing them in the opener, in the middle, and in the closing. That's the same thing that I wanted with Will Ospreay and MJF. That's the same thing that I wanted in regards to the Elite feud with maybe Kazuchika Okada being the one heading all of this, right? That's what I wanted theoretically with Ricochet and Will Ospreay if you would have built this up, right? Considering that you rushed directly into this feud. Maybe you could have turned Ricochet heel. There are multiple things that you could have done and you didn't do it. Same thing could be said about Will Ospreay and MJF. Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson, Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, and now you're currently doing it again with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, as if anyone gives a shit about Kyle Fletcher. You're putting them in this position with Will Ospreay when you haven't given anyone a reason to give a fuck. I'll give you an example. JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, in 2004, early 2004, even right after WrestleMania, was a joke. He was a jobber. No one gave a shit about Bradshaw. He was one half of the APA. One half of a tag team that were mid-carding in the tag team. And guess what happened? Farouk, Ron Simmons, he left. He got fired. I can't remember how he got fired. It was a match maybe with Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty. I can't remember how Ron Simmons got fired, kayfabe wise, but he got fired. I think Paul Heyman has some fucking, when he was general manager, made some decision where it's like whoever takes the pinfall is fired or some shit like that. I can't remember. And JBL was born. You know what they did to revamp that character? You know what they did in order to put JBL into a position where he went after Eddie Guerrero for the World Championship, when literally, I don't even think, if he was on the WrestleMania card, he was probably with Farouk. If he was even on the card. He was maybe in one of those tag team turmoils they had that night. They gave him a completely new gimmick. Now granted, contrary to belief, the look that he had as John Bradshaw Layfield, he was already kind of going into he already had that image when he was a part of the APA. I think most people don't think that or forgot about that. But look what happened. You turned him into a loudmouth Texan. You made him a heel. You gave him a bunch of vignettes, kicking out Mexicans over the border, and how he wants to be the guy running SmackDown as a president, and how many vignettes you kept giving him throughout the night, having him look like a complete douchebag and all this stuff. You gave him a new character, a new coat of paint, and you presented it throughout the night every week till it got to a point where he eventually can go up against Eddie Guerrero because the character fits the circumstance at that moment, and his skill set also fits all that. That was a brand new character, not a brand new wrestler, a brand new character. Introduced, not even a month later, he's feuding with the world champion. You can't even do that with established talent right there. There's no character change that you have to do for all the signings that you brought in. All you have to do is just present them on television and give us a reason to give a shit, and you can't even do that. That BCC angle was a fucking layup. And you botched it. And that goes double for all the 4 people that you brought into this company. These were all layups. Kazuchika Okada and the Elite was a layup. Will Ospreay was a layup. Ricochet was a layup. Mercedes Mone was a layup. And like always, you botched it. And like I said, the AEW fans, they don't care, man. They're just happy to have a company opposing WWE. But I would like for us, actual real wrestling fans, not AEW wrestling fans, legitimate wrestling fans overall, to have a healthy discussion about this. Yes, I understand. There's nothing that we can do about it. But think of this as just an outlet. Think of this as being one of the creators that's legitimately going to bring this up to have a legitimate conversation about this. Because you leave it up to everybody else. They have to pretend as if what's going on in AEW is a good thing. And it's just frustrating because it's like dude, we have eyes, man. That show last night was an abomination. Every show lately has been fucking terrible. And it's like right in front of your face. Dividended up, divided up, and hierarchy structure. The world champion gets the most segments. Your most personal feuds gets the secondary amount of segments. Your top mid-card champion, get rid of 2 belts and keep 1 mid-card champion. That gets the 3rd amount of segments. Your top woman gets the 4th amount of segments. Maybe she can get the 2nd if she's more popular at that point in time, like what was going on for Toni Storm and Mariah May. You can excuse it with that for an example. But this is just... It's just bad storylines, bad angles, no time put into any of them whatsoever. And then you think you can sign 4 guys like these people and think that that's going to make up for it just because they're names. And your justification with that is by putting them in the ring and telling them to just have a match. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Like I said, I'll take the L of professional wrestling that's passed me by. But then it's hard to do that because then you'll get things that are actually really, really good at professional wrestling happening, and then people lose their fucking minds, and 9 times out of 10 it's like, okay, but that's literally what I was preaching and you were completely against, considering that you're shitting all over me, but now you're praising this when this is literally what I've been preaching the entire time. It's just... It's so nonsensical. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below in regards to how you feel about the topic. I'd like to get a conversation started. My name is Devontae, and I'll be back later on for if it's that drastic, I'll talk about the viewership numbers. If not, then I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Deuces, P, ice.